What's up, guys? Neil Orfield here to talk a little Sorare NBA preview the slate coming up starting today, April 24th. This will be a Monday through Thursday slate that we're talking about here. While you're coming in, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. I did, of course, already do a show with Greg where we set a couple lineups in Sorare. I'll show you the lineups that we set, and I'm also going to show you our projections. We'll talk about what our projections show us a little bit. By the way, we are, of course, a partner of Sorare, and as a result, if you use the link in the description of this video when you sign up for Sorare, you will get a sixth card for free on the marketplace. You buy 5 cards on the Sorare marketplace, you will get a sixth limited card for free. These are numbered cards, number 2, 5,000. They are tracked on the Ethereum blockchain. Really cool deal here. All you have to do is buy 5 cards on the marketplace. Any 5 cards, doesn't need to be expensive cards. Whatever 5 cards you want to buy, you'll get a 6 card for free. And that 6 card, don't know what it's going to be. It's a random card, so you can get a superstar there. You can pull a Kevin Durant, LeBron James, anybody is up for grabs in that. So just buy 5 cards on the marketplace, get your 6 card for free if you use the link in the description of this video when you sign up for Sorare. A second thing that you get because we are partnered with Sorare is our projections. These are free on the Stochastic page. You just go to NBA. Free NBA DFS data, Sorare NBA projections. This is what you will find there. Really cool tool. We've got projections for each player. A little bit tougher in the playoffs because we don't always know how many games each team is going to have. So the games column, unfortunately, no longer relevant. But we'll talk about the scenarios right now in the playoffs. I'll show you how many games each team has. But because it's not predictable, we can't actually show you a games column there. A little bit wonky there. But the rest of the projections still work as they have been working, where we've got the players' last 10 average, which is essentially their salary in the contest, their projection, which is their projection, their better game of the games that we know are going to happen. And then the value is just you subtract the last 10 average from the projection. This is how much they project over their last 10 average. So the kind of value you get in playing these players. Kevin Durant, pretty cool to see that he is the top projected value on the entire slate because his last 10 average is 42, wasn't playing big minutes at the end of the regular season. Now they're ramping up his minutes, played like 44 minutes the last time out. So great value there in Kevin Durant. But yeah, the primary things I'm looking at are projection, just see who are the top projected players on the slate. Especially in the MVP contest, where the last 10 average of your MVP does not count against your salary cap. Super valuable to just get the highest projected players in there. And then, of course, the value column, which just shows, as I said, the value over their last 10 average for each player. So very useful to use these. Greg and I did, of course, already set some lineups. Actually, first, let's talk over these scenarios a little bit. So Miami, Milwaukee, they're going to have 2 games during this period. So if we go to look real quickly at the games, Miami, Milwaukee guaranteed to have 2 games in this period, which is you get the player's better score of those 2 games. So nice to have multiple opportunities to put up a big score there. So guaranteed 2 games for Miami, Milwaukee. Cleveland, New York, no guarantees here. There, obviously, if New York closes out Cleveland, they'll have just 1 game in this period. That game is not until the 26th. So I imagine if the Cavs are able to win this game on the 26th, they would then have a game on the 28th. I don't know if that is. I'd have to look that up. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, here we go. Yep. So it would be the 28th if they do win that game. So I'd say a fairly good chance, definitely not guaranteed though, with the way the Knicks have been handling them in this series, but could be 1, could be 2 games for these 2 teams during this period. Philadelphia, Brooklyn not playing during this period, so don't play anybody from the Sixers or the Nets. Boston, Atlanta, of course, Boston could close out Atlanta. Then there will be just 1 game. If Atlanta wins this game, we will have a second game during this period. Denver, Minnesota, go Timberwolves. Fun to see the Wolves pull out an upset last night. Now they got at least 1 more game, and they could have 2 games in this period if they miraculously are able to beat Denver in Denver, bring it back to Minneapolis so I can go to 1 more game this season. We'll see how that goes. But we can at least we can count on 1 more game from all the players in Denver and Minnesota. Phoenix and LA, if Phoenix closes out LA, obviously just 1 game in this period. Otherwise, if the Clippers can pull out another win, we'll get 2 games out of these 2 teams. Sacramento Golden State will have 2 games during this period, and then the Lakers and Memphis 2 games guaranteed during this period. So something to factor in a little bit. Some players you're definitely going to want multiple games if they're a little bit streaky. Maybe a Norman Powell. We just saw him have one great game and one kind of mediocre game. Looks like one of our better values. Let's take a look at our projections again. So if we look at, what I want to show you is the optimal plays. So this is what I'm thinking. So Greg and I went in and we made I'll show you the lineup that we made for the limited champion contest. So this is the lineup that we made using our projections, just using the cards I already have. And I'm debating whether I want to switch up some of these players. So Duncan Robinson, somebody I don't necessarily want in there. And I'll show you what our optimal lineup is for the champion optimal contest. So I've got a lot of these players. I already had a Kevin Durant. I already had a Ja Morant. So I threw those into this lineup right away. You can see the value there is just great with the last an average of just 36 for Ja Morant, last an average of 42 for Kevin Durant. That's really fun. I don't have a Tatum. So if I were to do this construction, I would probably just use one of my other. So I have some studs here. So I've got Anthony Davis, LeBron, some of our top projected plays. Actually, let's look at who the top projected plays overall here. So I probably wouldn't go out of my way to get a Tatum here because I could just play a Giannis instead or an Anthony Davis. I think they project close enough that I just use a card that I already have here. But I'm thinking about whether I want to go in and use some of these plays. So I went out and bought a Caleb Martin and a DeAndre Ayton that I could throw in here. So I could play Kevin Durant, Ja Morant, Ayton, Caleb Martin, and then instead of Tatum, I would probably just use Anthony Davis. Actually, let's see who's the top projected here. Instead of Tatum, I would just use Giannis in this case. So I'm thinking about doing that. One kind of tiebreaker for me here is what I have as far as boost here. So some of these players, if you already have the card coming into the playoffs, you get a bigger boost. So I think I'm just going to stick with the lineup that I have here because I have big boosts on 4 of the 5 players. I've got that playoff boost and then not on Duncan Robinson. So if I did switch this out, let's see what it would be. So it's going to be Durant, Morant. Actually, Trae Young actually projects really well too. So I'm hesitant to get away from that. He's one of our better values. Yeah, last average of 35 with a projection of 53 is pretty great there. So it is a pretty great lineup we've already made. The other lineup that I could consider making would be get rid of Duncan Robinson, Trae Young, and Cat. Throw in here Giannis. And then I wanted to throw in Ayton and Caleb Martin. So here I have big boosts on, honestly, the 3 most important players. So I could do this one. Debating here. I think I'm just going to stick with the lineup we already made. That was a fun lineup. We do think that Giannis is going to play tonight. So one more reason to potentially play the original here. I'm actually, if I just close out of this, it'll save it how it was, I believe. Okay, good. We've got my original lineup back. But kind of an interesting puzzle here when you're thinking about like, do I want to find the optimal lineups here? Or should I just, since I already have cards with bigger boosts, maybe they actually project better when you factor in the boost. Haven't done the math there, but I think I like the lineup that I have already. And then of course the Contender optimal as well has a lot of similar players here. We've got Caleb Martin in both, DeAndre Ayton in both, Ja Morant in both. Norman Powell, an interesting one too, because he should have. Does he have multiple games? So he could just have one game in this series if Phoenix closes him out. He's a little bit streaky, so I kind of like the idea of playing Norman Powell and potentially, having 2 bites at the apple. I think it's pretty likely that he would have one big game there with Kawhi. I think likely out. It seems likelier than not that Kawhi is going to miss at least one more game. I haven't bought a Norman Powell, but it doesn't cost a ton to get there. So that's somebody that I would consider if I did want to make a change to that lineup. Maybe I'd think about it. But just looking at our projections, I think this is my go-to source for figuring out who I want to play in these contests. I'm probably just going to stick with the 2 lineups that Greg and I already made. I feel pretty good about this one as well. Kevin Love, pretty solid value here. Could be even better with Jimmy Butler potentially sidelined tonight. Unclear if that's going to be the case. Torrey Craig been playing bigger minutes. Nickeil Alexander-Walker started the last couple games. I think the last 2 games for the Timberwolves. after a win, I imagine he's going to continue starting, playing pretty big minutes. So with the last average of 13, looks really good to me. Harrison Barnes has at least 2 games, so hasn't been playing phenomenally, but 2 games, last an average of 24 seems fine. And then Chris Middleton is actually a really strong value for us as well. Let's see, is he on the first page here? Yes, we got Chris Middleton with the last average of 33, projection of 45. So he looks really good as well. So I feel pretty good about this lineup. Probably not making any changes here with the Aiden, but I'll think about it. I think I'm just sticking with this one. Anyway, that's going to be my approach to this slate. As always, I'm just using the stochastic projections, no longer just playing the optimals like I had been during the regular season when I was just crushing with the optimals. At this point, I think it's a little bit of a more complicated puzzle with the boosts with some of the cards you already have, but still very useful to be able to look at the projections, kind of figure out who looks good here. And again, those are free. Just go to NBA on stochastic.com. Free NBA DFS data, so rare NBA projections. This is all free. You don't even need a subscription. So, highly recommend using these projections as you set your lineups. I think that's going to do it for this video. We talked about everything that I wanted to talk about here. So, good luck this week. Let's win some money.